there's a place for everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to help. I'd rather be collaborative than be like competition. Like, that's just how I am. So I will like give you whatever information I can.
Hey everyone, welcome to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast, where we celebrate the S.O.B that you are, and if you haven't figured it out yet, we mean small-owned business. We don't mean S.O.B.
Listen, we know that as a small business owner, you are working hard on the daily to keep your business fully operational while trying to promote it. And while some days it may feel like the business is owning you, if we're being honest with each other, I bet you would admit that you wouldn't give up the insanity for anything.
Our commitment here at the S.O.B Marketing Podcast is to give you the real talk, what works when it comes to advertising, marketing, promoting your business, and then what doesn't really work.
And Chelsea and I promise to always keep the conversation real. Welcome back to another episode of the S.O.B Small Owned Business, because we ain't calling y'all names, Marketing Podcast. I'm here with my beautiful baby sister, Chelsea. Hey, Chelsea.
Hey, Vivian.
All right. And before we hop into our special guest today, because we certainly have a juicy conversation for you, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, if you have not left us a review, what are you doing? Do it right now. Like, hit pause, go leave us a review. This helps to get our podcast in front of other small-owned businesses. And we all know we want to build a community around here. So please take the time to do that. Let's go ahead and introduce and talk about what our topic is today.
Well, we are so excited because we have another special guest, a wonderful small business owner, Miss Gretchen from Crafted from Faith. Hi, Gretchen.
Those are finger snaps,
Hi.
y'all.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're so excited to talk with you. Off camera, off air, a few seconds ago, we were actually talking about how Gretchen, you're kind of a unicorn. You've only ever worked for yourself?
Yes, I have.
That's crazy.
So jelly,
Yeah, I
jelly,
know.
just so you know.
Real quick, Crafted from Faith is handcrafted polymer clay jewelry, correct?
Yes.
I have actually, I was doing some research and I was looking at all your designs. Going to have to buy myself new jewelry.
I was going to say, that's going to be expensive research when you're done.
It really, I love earrings, and your earrings are so beautiful. They're so unique.
Oh,
And-
thank you.
Yeah. So we're so excited to talk with you today because we are talking specifically about, the difference between having to market yourself in stores versus marketing yourself in markets, because you do vendor markets and craft fairs and that sort of thing, as well as try to position yourself and get your products in boutiques and businesses, correct?
Yes, we do. We do all of it.
Before we hop into it, can I ask really quick, though? Okay, my first pressing question to you is, how do you do it all? Because you are not only a mama, you own Crafted from Faith, and you also do photography.
Yep.
And so how did it come to be that you decided you wanted to add one more thing to your plate and launch a jewelry business?
Okay, I can kind of, honestly, I think if I just go through how my whole timeline of working, because it's just been kind of a crazy ride. So way back in 2017, I graduated photography school because that's what I wanted to do. I'm a photographer. I like to do weddings and portraits mostly. But 2020 came, COVID happened. I don't have a whole lot of work. So that kind of just started. I've always loved crafting because photography is a craft in itself. And I just started playing around with polymer clay. It was very therapeutic, relaxing. And then people started liking it. So I was like, oh, maybe I should keep doing this. So I came up with Crafted from Faith. And as COVID kind of I don't want to say went away, but all of the scary stuff kind of slowed down and went away. I started just doing both. And
She says
it's a time.
It's such an easy thing. She's like, I just did both.
And it's crazy because sometimes our, the busy season for photography kind of overlaps with the busy season for retail. So It's crazy. I will say I don't do it by myself. I am self-employed, but I don't do it by myself. I have two other girls that help me. I could not do it without them. It's insane.
So I'm glad that you led into this because this was one of my big questions. For one, exactly how big is your team? Because I understand you don't have on payroll your husband, Devin, obviously, right? But he does
Yes,
help. He does get a shout out on the website.
he
And then
does.
you have Lily and Angel who also help you in the business, correct?
Yes, and actually because, I mean, during this quote unquote slow season, it hasn't been slow for us, which is really wild. I'm actually looking to hire 2 more people. So I guess in total, right now, there's 4 of us, including myself, including Devin, but, we're looking to add 2 more people because it's just been crazy.
And is this one of, I noticed on your Facebook, you had done a recent post where it was, you guys were looking for like part time actual makers, like people to actually help you make the jewelry.
Yes. So both of my girls right now, they are both makers and sellers. So they will right now I have one of my girls making, but then on Fridays we have a local farmers market we go to. Both of them sell and actually they'll be putting together like jewelry like right there at the farmers market. So
Okay,
they do
so
both.
so I absolutely love this because the other thing before we actually talk about the meat and potatoes of this is you right now with Crafted from Faith, which is the polymer clay jewelry, you're doing wholesale, brick and mortar, and also events. Those are the 3 main ways that you get your product in front of people, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
All right. And I think that's where today we're going to talk about the latter two, the brick and mortar, right? How it differs, because I do think there's such a, in here, most of our conversations are always talking about your target audience. Well, what if your target audience are other businesses, right? Where you're coming to them saying like, hey, I have product that potentially would be a good fit for your store, a win for you, a win for me. That's a very different target audience than you physically going to the events and selling right to the consumer. That's an
Yeah.
entirely different discussion.
Well, Vivian, not to sound like a snobby marketing person, but it's the difference between B2B and B2C.
Yes. So for those of you listening, B2B is always business to business.
Yeah.
That's the one where we're talking about she's going to be approaching and talking the brick and mortar stores about putting her product in. B2C, business to consumer. So we're going to translate Chelsea's snotty marketing to...
Yeah. So Gretchen, to start this conversation, I want to talk about the vendor markets, craft fairs side of the type of marketing you do. I'm going to ask you a very loaded question. I'm so sorry, but what is your number one marketing tip for a small business who's starting out in craft fairs? What do you think is the most important thing that they need to know?
The first thing that came to mind was networking. Networking is huge. Whether that's just going on Instagram and seeing like the artists that you like that are local to you, but oh, I went to this little craft fair and I love this person. And going and seeing where else are they going to be going? Because generally, especially after seeing, over a course of a couple years, they go to the same places. And if they're going to the same places, that means it's a good place to go, usually. But I will say, especially if they're doing something totally different than you, it may be different market between like if you're selling candles and soap versus earrings. It could be different. Maybe they do really well and we don't. So it's always a toss up. But networking is huge. And when you're vending and actually there at the event, make friends. That's like the best way to do it. Like I don't know, because like they'll say, "Hey, you should check out this one or you should try to do this one next year." And we'll just kind of share those the different markets we should go to just verbally. That's huge.
Because you've been doing markets for this type of selling for how many years now?
I'd say like 1.25.
Okay, does it get any easier or does it feel less awkward when you're making friends with other vendors? So what I'm asking is for anyone that's listening on the other end of this, if you're like, hey, I've done maybe 2 events and it's weird. I don't know how to approach people. Does it get any easier?
Yeah, because I feel like you'll just find the way you do it. I will say for anybody out there who feels very awkward, I'm an introvert myself. Yet I do this kind of stuff and I'm like, I don't know what did I gotten myself into. But at a market, I feel like I revert back to kindergarten. So if you guys go to kindergarten, you're like, hey, I like that toy. Cool, let's be friends. I seriously won't find out their name until about like halfway through the day. I'm like, hey, I should ask what your name is. I kind of just start talking and like, I don't know, it just kind of comes out, you know?
For anyone that has seen Step Brothers, it's that scene when like, you know, you connect over weird stuff and then you look at each other and you're like, did we just become best friends? Yeah.
Exactly how it happens.
You're here putting yourself in an awkward situation at a market trying to sell your stuff. Me too. Let's be best friends.
Yes. And like sometimes it's as easy as like once they're set up, you're like, oh, I love this. How did you do that? And like just talking about their products even. I find that's really helpful too.
I feel like networking gets a really bad rap because people hate it and it's uncomfy. But it can be as simple as just saying, hey, I really like your product. Tell me about it. Like, it doesn't have to be difficult, but just taking the time to make those connections, people want to feel like you're actually interested in what they're doing or saying. That's what networking is. It's actually caring about what the other person is saying to you.
Well, I think people can sniff out when you're being disingenuous about something. So I do agree with you, Chelsea. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting, I'll tell you, my big girl job, healthcare, we go to a ton of events. And I can't tell you how many times, because I've been doing this for so long, I will talk to a wall. I will talk to anybody. You always find that one person, though, that it's their first event and they are almost like petrified. They're scared because they just don't know what to expect. And so I'll say, if you have been doing this for some time, or if you're used to doing events, be sure that maybe that's the first question you ask people. Is this your first event? Yeah. Have you, and that way it allows them to open up about whether they're experienced or they're a newbie. And then you can be the person helping them along if they are feeling a little like a fish out of water. But I do think the camaraderie, I love that you brought this up, and also the networking, because I hate to tell y'all, it's just a part of business. You're going to go further in your business if you're willing to just meet people and have genuine conversations.
And I also find that, like, with what you said, because that literally happened to me at my last market. The girl next to me had never done a craft show. So I was trying to give her tips and, like, places she could go. And, like, I don't know, I'm the kind of person that, like, I don't look at anybody, whether you do the same thing as me or something totally different. I believe there's something, like, there's a place for everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I want to help. I'd rather be collaborative than be like competition. Like, that's just how I am. So I will like give you whatever information I can.
I love it. I think, it's kind of like our way of, as small business owners, paying it forward, right? Because I think we remember, and we still feel it every day in different, ways. We probably say, if I was on the other end of it, I would want someone to reach a hand out and just tell me like, hey, I'll save you a bunch of time. Don't do X, Y, and Z and just stay on this route, right?
Yes.
Also love that was your tip, because the key difference, in my opinion, between retail marketing and your craft fairs, your markets, that type of marketing is going to be you're in person, right? The way that you interact with potential customers is just inherently different, because in retail, when you're trying to get your business in boutiques and the like, for one, your target audience is going to be the small business owner. Two, you're not going to be there to try to convince people that your product is worth purchasing. Whereas when you're at a vendor market, I mean, you don't want to be pushy and be like, buy my product, but you want to talk with them and make them feel comfortable, answer all the questions they could possibly have, give them all the information they need so that they can make the decision to either buy your product or not.
Yeah, I think the other part of it too is, so what does that look like if you're used to talking and using verbiage, answering questions, right? So I will say what I have found, and you let me know, Gretchen, if this is true, when you're at a market or event, you kind of allow the person in front of you to steer the conversation, because the conversation you have is very much going to be centered around what their objection, quote unquote, or what their question is, right? So maybe, how long will these earrings last? Right? Or maybe how long did it take to make them? Or, why is your price point this? Because I know we see a ton of small business owners that say They'll have customers come in and just be like, you're charging what for this? Like they're always like shocked by how business owners are setting their pricing. It's like, well, yes, that did take me like 5 hours to make. So I will charge that much. But is it true that you very much gear the conversation when a customer is standing in front of you around what they're asking you first?
Yeah, for sure. I think it really depends because honestly, I personally haven't had that many people come up and ask things. Usually it's like, "Oh, what's the price of this?" Or like I haven't had a whole lot of hagglers either. I think because they see it's handmade, it's like labeled as handmade, and they'll ask me, "Is this handmade?" I will say whenever a customer comes up to me, and I tell this to all my girls whenever they're selling, you just say, "Hi, how are you?" Like, nothing crazy. We are not the kind to be like, "Hey, you need this," or really, like, in your face. I believe the earrings speak for themselves. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, and it's not for everybody. So we will just sit there and actually, like, make our earrings back there so that people can watch us, like, they can see us making them, which I think
Oh,
Love that.
yeah.
and it's really cool because then some people be like, "Oh, I love this, but, like, I like it in silver." Well, I'm like, "Hey, we actually have everything here, we can swap stuff." So it's really nice that we can, like, offer that to customers, and a lot of times they'll keep coming back because we will swap things for them, but mostly, like, we say the, "Hi, how are you?" Or, like, ask them a little question. We kind of read body language. If they're not into it, we just don't push, but we also say hi to be like, "You can talk to me. It's okay to talk to me."
I love this for several different reasons. One, can I just tell you the fact that you guys are there actively showing them what it's like to put and to make your product is amazing. And you're reminding them low key, I can customize. Yeah. Great. You have a different preference. I can customize for you. And so I just love everything about that. For one, it gives them something outside of just the finished product itself. But then I think it just does so much more to remind them like, hey, there are people behind this product that are sitting there taking the time to make it. They're rolling out the stuff. They're cutting it. That's awesome. I love every part of it.
And sometimes people will ask us like, "Oh, well, like, how did you make that?" Or like, if somebody asks how like, "Why is this so much?" I'm like, "Well, this is kind of what is included." Like, we can actually talk about it, but I think it also makes people feel more comfortable that we're not just like staring them down at the market.
Yes. Yeah.
Gives us something to do.
Yeah. Gretchen, I want to get your opinion on this because I saw this the other day on social media and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't remember who it was. There was a lady talking about how it is no longer effective to say, hi, how are you to people because so many people are anxious and uncomfortable and don't want to be talked to that it's actually making it like, I don't want to say worse, but like it's making them uncomfortable to the point where they're not going to purchase from you. I don't see that. But I also live in the marketing world. I'm not a vendor. What's your opinion on that?
I feel it depends on the person. So
Okay.
I feel, I'm approachable. So if you're giving off the body language like you're approachable, you're just hanging out, like it's casual. It's not like you're, have like certain expectations. Like it doesn't feel like stiff and it's genuine. I feel like the genuineness about it. If you're just like, "Hi, how are you?" Like I feel like it depends on the tone. Because I feel like, "Hey, how are you?" Like I feel like it's different if you're just like, "Hey," like you have to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
There's a little trick. So Chelsea and I have a course. It's called Rock Your Fair, and it's about particular events and markets and stuff. One of the things that we talk about in there, an easy way to kind of just start a conversation without like a hi, but make it a little more personable is if you notice around here in the South, we have a lot of like football fans. So they're either going to be Clemson, Carolina, and I will always make a comment, or they're veterans, right? Air Force, Marines. And so they'll usually wear hats or gear, and just asking them, like Chelsea said, asking and being interested in them first, I think just it kind of alleviates that pressure of like, oh, is she going to try to sell to me, or is she, but it gives like an entry point to say like, oh, hey, my dad was in the Air Force too. How many years did you serve? And sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't serve, but my son's in the Air Force. And then you just have a natural conversation about that stuff. And so I do think that helps quite a bit. It's interesting. Some people, I think we're getting a little rigid with our don't approach me and stuff. It's like, we're all humans. We want to be seen and heard. So like, you know.
Well, and I think it's really important what Gretchen said about, you know, being authentic about it. Like actually wanting to say, hi, how are you? Like if your tone, if it's a, hi, how are you? Then yeah, they don't want you to talk to them and it makes sense.
Which, by the way, you sound like that all the time. So, I mean, you're...
Well, yeah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm not approachable. That's the point.
And I will say, off of what Vivian said, I literally ask questions like, but it's not so much that, it's more like, oh, I love your earrings. Or like, I look at everybody's jewelry. Every time someone comes up, I'm like, oh, I love your earrings. I love your necklace. And that like, and I genuinely do. Like if I, you know, I'm not just saying it to everybody, but
Yeah.
I will say that, or, you know, I'll talk to the kids, like not even talk to the mom. I'll just be like, oh my gosh, I love your outfit. And like, just like talk to the kids, and they're always so fun. But like, yeah, I feel like I love to talk about them with something, and then they'll come up with more if they want to keep talking.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and I think I always oversimplify my life. And the way I like to think about it is, in any interaction, I have two choices. I either have the choice to make it a good interaction where someone's going to leave feeling better, or I can make it like a not memorable anything, right? And not that it has to stick with them the rest of the day, but if anything, when they loop back around, at least they'll know like, hey, she was really nice and I know what she sells and I can ask questions if I have any about it. So
Yeah.
I've actually had customers come up and they were like, you're the only one that would talk to me. Or like I've had people come up and or like I've had people come to one event and come to another and be like, you know, I trigger like my memories of like people will be about our conversations. So
Yeah.
when they come up like, oh my gosh, we talked about the puppies and like this and that. And like, and then they like, I had one, I made like special like bridal, like earrings for her whole bridal party. She came back a year later. I'm like, oh, you're the bride. Did you get married? And like, we're talking about that. And she's like, oh my gosh, you remember. I'm like, I don't know how, but like I do.
Well, I think it's because you genuinely care about what, you know, there's just, like I said earlier, people they want to just feel seen, and for you to remember like, hey, I had done an order for you and now I'm just asking like, how's the marriage going? You know, hopefully they're still married, all that good stuff. Otherwise, I'm sure you'd be like, oh, I should have not asked. But
Another big part of vendor marketing at craft fairs and stuff like that, is going to be your pre and post communication. And this is very different from retail marketing, which is why I want to bring it up. Pre-communication, you're letting people know you're going to be at the event. You're posting it on social media. You're putting it in your email communication. You're sharing all of the content that they're sharing, because a good vendor market is going to be promoting the event as well. Your post communication, really important, and I feel like a lot of people forget about it. It's going to be, how are you interacting and connecting with the people you met at the craft fair? So having a way for them to sign up for an email list, just giving them a business card with your information, like all your socials and your email. It can be that simple, but we forget about it all the time.
yeah, and I will say, Gretchen, you do a fabulous job of this, because first of all, I want everybody listening to go to her website. So Gretchen, what's your website?
It's www.craftedfromfaith.com.
Okay. Excellent. Whoever, did you do it on your own?
My husband, Devin, he is a website coder.
Oh,
So I'm blessed. He went to school for business and he's a website coder. So I'm blessed. I really am.
Y'all reach out to Devin to your website. It's great, because let me tell you what I love. There was this, first of all, the tabs on the top, like Chelsea said, the pre-communication part is so important, because if you're going to take the time to invest money, time, and resources and lug, because we're going to talk about how it is a little cumbersome, right? You got to lug your equipment out there. You got to set up shop, get ready to spend the day. But if you're doing all that, you want to be sure that you're maximizing your exposure for the event and letting people know that you're going to be there. You do this by having a tab at the top of your website that actually says upcoming events, and on the homepage, it's about a third of the way through, you've divided that homepage up beautifully into two sections. One of them is for the brick and mortar stores that you're in, see all the locations so you have them listed. And then the other one is check out our upcoming events. So you've given them ample opportunity to say, great, you want to stop in a store, pick up our earrings, this is where you find them, or you want to come meet us day of at an event, this is where you find us. So kudos to you. This is so great. Was that something that you were very adamant about being sure that you could incorporate in the website?
Yeah, so after, like, talking with my husband, because he's been doing this for years, there's a thing called backlinks, and if
Yes.
with
Music to
so
our ears.
so whenever I was making this website, like, before it is what it is now, whenever I first made my website, I specifically made a tab for the shop local, because actually, this is a fun fact, most people actually will do markets and then go into, like, businesses to, like, put their stuff, like, set up. I did it the other way around. I actually started in stores and then started doing markets later. So I already had like a place people could go to anytime, which was really nice to be able to tell, hey, you can't come to this market, well, you go here instead. But I made sure to do that, and then on each of the picture of my stand with like a little description about the store, I made sure to tag their website or social media. That way people can check it out. So even at markets, I will be like, hey, like you love going to this kind of a market. Well, like on my website, I have a whole list of markets you can go to, or like go pick a fun day to like take you and your girlfriends, and you can like go to all these little cute little stores that you could see all sorts of vendor stuff. So it's really cool because some people will do that. And some people will even find my stuff at the brick and mortars, then go on my website, see the where I'm locally, and then come see. Like it
I love
flows
it.
both ways. It's great.
Well, and let me tell you what else you're doing, which I get the feeling just from knowing you now that you did this intentionally, but you're also helping the other businesses. So you're giving free web space, right? Another landing page where these brick and mortar businesses are listed. And on top of it, you're building a repository, a directory of sorts for the events. And yes, there are events that you're at only, but I think over time that just, those backlinks and all that stuff, it helps to promote everybody.
It does, it really does. And I find also like having everything listed like that, I feel like gives your brand credibility. That like you're not
Yeah.
just like some sketchy place on the website, because that I look at the website as a home base. That's where you can find everything you could possibly need, and if you can't, there's my info to contact me. So I just feel like it gives you that credibility and like that trust with my customers that you can come to us, and like we're all over the place. You can find us somewhere.
I love it. You guys listening, please go check out her website. You're going to see exactly what we're talking about. It's very clean, it's very organized, and it spotlights her product. So I think that it makes it super easy for people to find you wherever you're at, and also creates easy access for them to take out their credit card and pay if they want to buy a product right then and there.
I'm glad we're talking about websites because when it comes to retail marketing in stores, I feel like digital marketing is the most important thing you can do. Because how else are you going to tell people that you're in this store,
Yeah, outside of social media, and then also, I guess, because for you, it works both ways. Like you said, if you're at an event, you can easily remind them like, hey, in case you don't catch me at a future event, this is a list of stores that you can find me at. Because you said you first started there, right, with those relationships, do you feel like it was easier, or did you make it harder on yourself? Would it have been easier to start at markets and then go into the stores?
I think in my opinion, it was easier because I had like an in-person like home base where like, these are the stores that I'm at. It's also super helpful too whenever you're at a market. Let's say like we're in like York in Pennsylvania. And one of my stores is Keystone Artisan Works. I'm like, oh well, hey, well, if you want to check it out, there's this place over here that have like tons of different like artisans and vintage things. So like they'll leave that event and then maybe go shop over there with other. It might not be with me. It might be with other people. But I love being able to be like, hey, like, or another question I ask customers like at markets or at like farmers markets and things. I'll be like, hey, well, where are you from? And they'll tell me, and I'm like, oh, well, this is the closest store where I'm at. You should go check it out sometime, and just kind of talk about that. I also feel like it's easier because you have that home base and it's just not as scary because like, "Oh, this is all I have." Well, it's like, "No, I actually have more at this place." So, like, I think it's just easier. I don't know. I feel like I'm an anomaly because most people start doing markets and then go into stores, but I just felt like I already had a customer base with that store because every store is different. I know we were gonna talk about that sometime
We can
during the
talk about it
session.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Like,
get into
every
it.
single store is so different. It's crazy because something I take to, let's say, building character in Lancaster, I would never take to, I'm trying to think of another place, but, like, I would never like, there's some certain styles I wouldn't take here versus here. It's really crazy.
And I think the awesome part of this too is the opportunity to select, to pick and choose the stores that you feel are aligned with what your brand represents. And I love that you bring this up. We happen to have a client that we do email marketing for, and she's a local elderberry syrup. She does very much the same thing you do, except I think she flipped it. So she was doing the markets first, and then she went in and started establishing in brick and mortar stores. What I love about, in particular, what she has done is she's gone all over the United States because I guess now with elderberry, it's becoming more popular and people are using it. And so for her, she knows, hey, it's got to be health and wellness related. If it's a little more, what do you call it? Homeopathic in nature, then even better. But she's sitting there selecting where she wants to be, and then she's able to grow her footprint. So for you, how big is your footprint right now for brick and mortar stores?
So, with doing it consignment, the way like most of my stores do, you pay rent for your space and then they have a consignment percentage. Because obviously wholesale is different. So wholesale we're like nationwide, but with consignment based, um, I don't know how to actually give like, I don't know. We're in like 16 stores, like somewhat locally. We're
Yeah,
in like Philly. We're actually in Maryland now, which is crazy.
I love
Um,
it.
like, we're slowly branching out because something else I found out, especially doing jewelry, like, jewelry's a genre, but then it also has subgenres, like the clay jewelry, there's resin, there's beads, there's so many different genres. I find, especially in Lancaster County, there's just so much of it. You can go to an event and, like, 20 of them are all jewelry. Like, it's crazy how much there is. So, I decided to, like, start branching out because also some of the markets, they just keep using the same people over and over, and I can never get
Yeah.
in, and I'm like, "You know what? Let's just branch out to go to places that they don't do a ton of this." And so we've been trying to branch out slowly, and my husband, God bless him, because he's driving all over the place with my toddler.
I love it. He's the VIP. I hope he gets employee of the month every month.
Yeah.
Well, Gretchen, I want to ask another loaded question.
Okay.
But how did you go about getting into these stores? Like, how did you go about creating that relationship with that store owner and getting your products in that location?
Yeah, so a lot of my stores, it's really not as hard as what you'd think it might be. I think it sounds more daunting than it actually is, but a lot of my storefronts, they are like an artisan co-op, so they will have, like, the spaces or bookshelves or something there, and, like, they rent it out to other people. You bring your products, they sell it for you, and, like, that's all the store is. Like, they don't actually have their own, or, like, actually well, one of mine, my first store ever was Building Character. They have a, like, home brand where they make some of their stuff, but everything, that whole entire warehouse, it's all rented out. So whenever I wanted to get into Building Character as my first store, I was really scared, I was nervous. They have an application form on their website. So there's so many of these stores, they just have like a little vendor tab and you click it and it'll take you to the application. And it says like, oh, this is not like guaranteed. It just kind of goes into like their system and they can review it. You usually have to upload pictures of your stuff, connect your website, your social media. I find too, as somebody, because so Crafted from Faith, we actually have like a workshop, and in the
Oh,
front part of our workshop is a boutique. So I kind of run a boutique as well. So like being somebody so being somebody who actually does rent out spaces like these other stores, like to other vendors, um, like I make sure I'm like, okay, do you have social media? Do you have a website? And I check that everything out because I want to see like how are you putting on that front of like, do you have followers that you could also help the boutique and everything? Because with all of these stores, it's a combination. It's not just like, oh, well, I'm getting that store's customers, but I'm also getting all the vendors' customers to look at my stuff too.
I love this because let me tell you, so on our YouTube channel at the Seasoned Marketer, I've been wanting to do, and I did talk to, they opened something locally up here in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, which is new to the community, very similar to what you said. They have a big space. People can come in and basically you could buy a booth, a big one, a small one, and it's kind of like your storefront. And what I love about this is just that. It allows a business owner, because y'all, I don't know if signing a lease for something, and then that's scary. Like, especially when maybe you're in the first 7 years of your business and you're still trying to get a grasp on how quickly you're growing and projecting the revenue that's going to be coming in that year. How can you possibly sign a lease if you're undetermined as far as I don't really know how well I could project what I'm going to do, in 2025. Well, this is a stepping stone to that. This gives you the actual visibility in a physical space that you can come in and, like you said, there are applications and stuff. They may have some recommendations on things that you can and can't put in there. But other than that, it's exactly what you're saying. It allows you to then on your website say, great, you want to buy my product Monday through Sunday. This is where you can find it. Right. And I know as a consumer, because we have a place in North Charleston as well that we love going to, they do a little more of the antiques and stuff. I love popping in there and knowing that I can always buy a gift for someone, because I always want to support small business. So I'm like, great, I could buy a pair of earrings for a friend that's having a birthday. And it's just a nice consolidated place to be able to shop and have access to a lot of small businesses.
And it's really nice too, because the part of that commission, it helps pay whoever's actually their staffing.
Yes.
And you don't have to staff it. That's the crazy part, but also I also wanted to point out with what you said about the whole lease thing being scary. When I first went into my first store, I was terrified because I was, my husband, he's my business partner, he's my manager, so to speak. And I was like, can I afford this? I think I was going to be paying $80 a month. Looking at it now, I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But I was like, this is terrifying. What if I can't make enough stuff to or what if people don't buy stuff? Because you don't know. I will say, I think everything in business, you never know. It's all just a toss up and hope you made the right choice. But I was terrified. And then I was talking to one of the people that work there, and I was telling her this story, and she was laughing so hard, and she's like, you're ridiculous. Cause not to brag about myself, but I know I am one of their better, one of their high, what's the word? One of their highest
sellers?
High sellers. Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. So I'm one of their highest sellers. And I know that just because of how shocked they're wow, you're doing really good. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but sure, I'm great.
I think if you want to answer to that, I think from someone who, I don't live in Pennsylvania, but the fact that I very quickly can recognize that you're a legitimate brand and that you're running your business. And for any crafter or creative out there that's listening to this, I say this to you with love because I am this person. You have this need to be creative, but yet you're not approaching your business in a way that it's a business. And I think there's a big difference there, right? Because like you said, I love the example you brought up. Yes, it was only $80, but in your head, what was going through your head was, I need to break even. How much material or how much product do I have to sell to break even to even get this? And that's without you taking into consideration the cost of building your booth out. Right? Because you're not just going to come lay stuff flat. You're going to have to, figure out ways to properly display it. That might mean, asking your husband, I don't know what he charges you to build wooden, shelving and stuff.
I'm going to say, this sounds so bad, but Amazon. Where you start.
Yes. Yeah. But that's the thing is, this is all a thought process. Just stuff that you should be thinking about whenever you approach things. It's never just like, hey, okay, great, I'm going to give you $80 and then it's done. It's always, now I have, this much effort to put into it. I have to buy this much stuff. And so now your cost gets bigger and bigger. And now you're saying, okay, that first month I need to recoup $250. am I going to be able to do it? So I love that you brought that up because it is a real life example, I think, of what every business owner out there is living through. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And I know like with like crafters that do craft markets, when you're building up a booth, it's honestly very, very, very similar. Granted, you're not going to have like tables and things like you would at like a market. You'll have shelves and things, but you'll need the displays. You'll need your. I always have been very big on making sure you have like your brand being known, like your a signage, whether it's a picture, like a printed out picture in a frame, or you buy some, or you like pay someone to make you a sign. Doesn't matter what it is, just to have something, or even decorations. Like a lot of my actually, I buy like those like $5 plants from Walmart.
Yeah.
They're great. You don't gotta water them. They look fantastic.
Yes.
They're fake, but it gives it a little something,
It zhuzhes it up.
Stop wasting your time Googling how to market my small business.
Join the S.O.B community. Get templates, expert advice, weekly Zoom calls with us, and a supportive group of other business owners for, get this, just $50 a month.
Marketing doesn't have to be hard when you have help. Head over to www.school.com/SOB. That's SKOOL.com/SOB, all lowercase. Join today and feel confident in your marketing.
Well, so let's lead into, because you talked about how it's kind of the same thing in that sense. What are the differences, though, between selling, how you market at an event and then how you market in store, quote unquote, through these, the not vendors, but brick and mortar stores?
Some differences between the two is, like we said earlier, that you're not there to advocate, so you need to have enough signage and like about your product. So for one instance, we just started this year. We're doing a charity pair of the month every month, and it's going to benefit a different charity every month. So for the month of March, it's in honor of my mom. She had colon cancer, and it's Colon Cancer Awareness Month for March. So I have a special pair of earrings. It's navy blue, like the ribbon for colon cancer awareness. And so it's a special edition. Like, I'm never going to make this pair again after this month. And 50% of proceeds will be going to, for Pete's Sake, Cancer Respite Foundation, to help families take a break from cancer. So with that pair, at markets, whenever I advertise this, I will set them aside, and I do have like a little pop-up thing. I don't think people actually read it, though. People don't really read things, as we all know. So at markets, and they're like, "Oh, this is pretty." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's actually our charity pair of the month." And like, I'll actually talk about it, and we offer them in silver and gold, and we can like just talk about different things with that. And usually that leads to stories and things. But at a store, we actually are offering them at 3 of our biggest store locations. We have the same printout, but we have it so it's eye level, so you can easily read it right there. And I think we also have like some kind of a link where you can read more about it. We also, this is the other thing. So with our email blast, I know you guys would love this. We have our email blast.
Now you're speaking our love language.
So we don't actually, we kind of will advertise the stores on our email blast, because we don't really advertise our markets because they happen so quickly. And also on the emails, a lot of our email contacts are from different states. So like they're never going to go. But sometimes we'll advertise on our stores, but we'll advertise our website a lot on the email blast and just talk about like, oh, this is where you can find it. Or here's another link. If you don't want to buy the earrings, you can still support the charity, and like, different things like that.
Can I stop you right there just to say this? I think maybe as small business owners, we overlook what we've already built and how we can just get the most juice out of something. And I love that you brought this up, because our client who does elderberry syrup does the same thing at the bottom of her email, because the majority of her people on her email list are local. We do always put like upcoming events, because usually she'll have them planned out like 4 weeks in advance. And so she, like we'll take them off once that date kind of comes to fruition. But I love this because what you're doing is you're leveraging something you've already built up. Same thing with your brick and mortar stores. I mean, what better way the thing is, you guys, people are busy. It's not that they don't want to buy from you. It's that sometimes life gets in the way. They're running around with a toddler, in the back seat, dropping off earrings, all these things. People have every intention of wanting to buy stuff, but it's just sometimes we forget or we get bogged down with work and other stuff. So putting it front and center to them, even just through an email, I think really does help just to stay top of mind and remind them like, hey, it really is easy if you're looking for a gift, this is where I'm at. So I love that you're leveraging that.
And I also feel like thinking of like the thing that keeps coming to my mind about this is, have you ever heard the whole thing about you have to try something like 7 times till you like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you have to see something like 7 times until you buy. So I feel like just putting it out there, even though like sometimes I feel like I'm beating a dead horse where I'm like, okay, I talked about this a lot, but it's still these people like, you need to keep putting in their face. It's like, oh wait, I did want to get that. Or you're just seeing it over and over in different avenues, whether it's at a store, whether it's on like the email list, website. There's so many different avenues.
Chelsea, tell them the 2 things that I know you're going to say in regards to that seeing something 7 times and also the sounding like a broken record.
Okay. Well, for one, it takes on average, this is a marketing statistic. Next week I'm going to look this up and I'm going to see if this has changed.
Yeah.
But it has been said that it takes 7 to 8 touch points for someone to be willing to make a purchase.
So you hit the nail on the head. That is correct.
Yeah. And then 2, it's okay to feel like a broken record. You got to keep saying it though, because someone new is going to hear your message every single time. Like the same person is not going to hear it every single time. You're going to reach someone different.
Well, and
I was going to say, how many times have you guys talked about email lists on this podcast?
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, and the crazy part too is like, I think we know it to be true as consumers ourselves. Like how many times I see how many different ads I'm scrolling through. I mean, you're just bombarded with so much stuff. And so I know as a consumer, I know that to be true. Like I have to see things repetition and finally I'll make the purchase. But then the business owner in us is kind of like I don't want to bother you, but can I sell you this thing? Like I don't, if it's convenient for you. So I do think it does kind of go along with everything that we were talking about earlier about, as long as the communication aligns with the brand. And, you guys, they also chose to give you their emails. If you're doing this the right way and you're asking for permission and you're saying, hey, if you like X, Y, and Z, sign up for my email list, they're taking the action to sign up. So it's okay for you guys to send them stuff promoting your business and promoting your products.
I have another question, Gretchen. How do you pick what products you bring in a store versus to a market? Is it different? Is it the same concept? Do you only bring specific like jewelry to markets? How do you go about picking that?
So it's gonna sound silly, I feel.
We're here for
it. At my stores, it just depends on the vibe of the store. One that's based in like downtown Lancaster is gonna be different stuff than like a rustic cottagey type feel store.
Yeah.
Some of them have different products. Like I have some Pokemon inspired earrings that I take to my Lancaster locations. They're eye-catching and people love them there. But like at those like rustic homey stores, they don't do well. Like I would never take them there. But at markets, this is funny because I have, you have your stock for your store. Like I will pull stock to stock the stores and tag them and everything. But like I have all my stock. Like I have bins. I have like a floral bin. I have like shapes and animal bin. I have all these different bins for different like seasonal bins, things like that. I literally will just take whatever I got to the market.
Yeah.
It's whatever I have. And a lot of times, like, I'll take those Pokemon inspired earrings and they just draw people in because they're just different. They don't have, some people just don't even buy them. They don't pay attention, but like it brings them in.
Yeah. I love it. I will say I just worked an event last week. It was for an elementary school. So it was a little different. We weren't selling anything, but this little kid was walking around with a Pokemon card. And I kid you not, I had like a 8-minute conversation with this kid. He was telling me all about it. So, I mean, I know for a fact Pokemon fans are Pokemon fans. They will
It's
go out
huge.
there. Yes. But okay, this leads me to something I wanted to ask you, and I don't want to get too off topic here. You do live events. On top of all of this, you do live recordings or live shopping, let me say, live shopping on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And I watched it. I love that it's super organized. You bring the, what do you call it? The little bins out, and you kind of go through the earrings and stuff. Have you found that to be something A, you enjoy doing, and B, is it something that you think does get business? Like, does it actually convert to sales for you?
So I will say how we kind of started that with like the slow season. Again, it was slow season, not really, but we started it because we didn't have our farmers market. There wasn't a ton of markets. I'm like, well, what else can we do to get like more action, more engagement? So we started that because my husband, he streams on YouTube. I know we do too much. The two of us, we do too much.
I
But
love it.
he streams on YouTube. He's like, well, why don't you do a live stream? And I'm like, okay, we'll try it. Because years ago, I did this before whenever I was doing something totally different. And it worked really well during COVID and everything. So I started that. I think a lot of people really like to see them in person, kind of in person, because a lot of people, especially like now that we're having more and more clients that are from out of state, you're not going to come to my event and see my earrings in person. I have a little stick that I had bought, like acrylic stick, and it has like markings on it for like 1 inch, 2 inch. So they're like, oh, how long is that? That way people can kind of gauge like if it's too long or too big for them. They could ask me questions during it, which is really cool. I didn't get to do it enough to see like a large amount of people because it's just hard driving traffic to it
Yeah.
because it's a lot. It really is a lot, and you have to like be there. But a lot of people will like watch it and like rewatch it later and then go shop on the website. It has converted, not as I would say not as effectively. I think you have to keep going and keep refining it.
Yeah.
Because we only like literally just started that. But we actually had, this is fun, our wholesale clients, because I go on when people order through Fair, I will go on and follow them on Instagram just because I love to see them using our
Yeah.
earrings and it's fun. Well, they will I actually have several clients who will pop on there, they'll shop and they'll ask me questions and they'll order on Fair later. So I have wholesale clients
That's awesome.
doing it too.
Yeah.
Well, we always recommend small business owners. We know it's hard and it's sometimes scary to experiment, but goodness, I love hearing that you were like, for one, your husband's like, maybe this translates from YouTube over to, selling. And so I love though that you're saying, for one, you can't definitively right now say like, you're giving it time and you understand that there is a warm up time for you to get in the groove, also get your customers used to showing up, right? That's the other part is, I don't want to use the word train, Chelsea. What would you say? It's almost like,
I would say train.
yeah, you're getting your customers trained to just know like, hey, on this day, this is what we do. So get used to it. We have a friend that does a local boutique here. It's called Cotton Down South. She does a lot of home furnishings, candles, jewelry, stuff like that. That was her main staple, was the live shopping. And I can tell you that at first it was a little, like she's like, should I run ads to it? I really don't know. I need to get more people on here. And then it became this whole thing by itself where people just got so used to it that they're like, I don't want to go to downtown Somerville in the store. Let me just shop from, my PJs at home. So I do think, it takes a while for it to gain legs, but I love that you were experimenting, implementing. Maybe it's something that you continue to do. And it really does help, I think, for people to see the product.
And I think it's just different because no other makers, now that it's not COVID, like that whole like period of COVID, everyone was doing online stuff because what else are you gonna do? But I feel like no one else does it. Like think like, well, what is everybody else not doing? Because you gotta set yourself apart somehow. That's all about marketing, is showing like what makes you different, why somebody should like like shop with you, things like that. But yeah, I feel like it also translates. We're doing a lot of Facebook and Instagram ads right now, and like we've actually been taking a course. We're like on a special course, like learning about all these different marketing things, and a big one is Facebook and Instagram ads. And one thing my husband said to me literally just yesterday, he said, one thing I learned that I didn't realize was with with those ads on social media, you're not looking at like, oh, how did it work today? You have to work in weeks. It's not a daily
Yes.
thing, it's a weekly thing. And that's scary when you're putting like $200-300 a day on an ad. That's scary. It really
Yeah.
is. But like you need that data. I feel like I didn't realize being a creative, like how much data you need to sell things. So much data.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and that's the, if anything, and I hope that everyone listening can appreciate this. Chelsea and I, the one thing that I think sets us apart is we're not going to be those marketing people that tells you that you need a big budget to do anything. What we will tell you is that the consistency over time is what works, and it's always a long-term game. And I think that's the thing. Podcasting, we were having this conversation not too long ago. We're now over 100 episodes in. We still, tech, all that stuff. We're still learning. But for us, I always tell Chelsea, I'm like, I know that no one's going to beat me, quote unquote, in the sense that I'm going to devote time. I'm in it for the long run. I will do the mundane until it starts to pay off. Now, not to the point where it's dumb, but I think taking the data and just seeing that increase, it's taken us some time to consistently show up podcasting and doing it. And I can tell you, we've seen a lot of people that have started and they quit at like 10 episodes because they're like, I'm not seeing the payoff. Okay, well, y'all, the payoff, I'm sorry, but I listen to Crime Junkie. They've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
And they're always talking about, our first episode was how many years ago? It takes sometimes years to get to the point where it's accruing quickly. You'll see the growth, but that quick growth comes sometimes months and years in. So
can I say, I want to pay Gretchen a compliment and all of our listeners a compliment, because if there's something about small business owners, it's that you're going to make it work. This is going to work. We will figure it out. We will get this going. Yeah. And I love that, because that's how marketing is too. It's experimenting, it's giving it time and making it work.
That is being a business. Your whole thing is customers have a problem, you have a solution, and there's going to be bumps in the road that you have to figure out, well, how can I fix it? How can I help? Like that's the whole thing about being a business.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I'll add to that is anyone that is feeling like my budget you mentioned, it is kind of scary when you're dropping that much money a day on Facebook. If you guys are not there and you don't have that budget, there are two ways to make your marketing work with any budget that you have. Consider it a piggy bank. You are consistently, that piggy bank is a potential customer. You feed it, right? And you get to decide if you're putting pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters. The quarters are exactly what she's doing. She's taking $200 a day. She's dropping it on ads. That is going to fill her piggy bank up a lot quicker. But if you don't have the ability to put quarters in, you can still make deposits. Do it with dimes. Do it by showing up on social media consistently. And so over time, that potential customer does turn into a customer as long as you feed it and continually feed it. But I don't want you to feel disheartened if you don't have a big budget right now. That's okay. You'll get there. Right now, just focus on the consistency and where you can show up and bring value.
I was gonna say I didn't have that kind of money when I first started.
Yeah.
This is like 3 years later. I think that's where we're at, and it's like it's just crazy, like how quickly, depending on how fast you grow, like it's different for everybody, and there's so many different avenues that you don't have to use money to get.
Yeah. Well, and I think the key point is there is no real right or wrong way. It's the right or wrong way for you, where you're at, and assessing all that. There are just so many external factors that I hate when people do the comparison game. Like, goodness, like I'm not, most people when they're like, oh, well, how is your business doing compared to others? I just don't even play that. I'm like, I'm just in the,
because like if you work a full-time job, this is my full-time job.
Right.
I have nothing else to do. So it's like how, it's going to be different. It has to be.
It has to.
So my next question, do you have a preference of selling in stores or in markets?
Ooh, that's hard. I feel like it's split pretty even. I can't say I prefer one versus the other because they're just so different. Like, at markets, I absolutely love getting to talk to the consumers, like, right there in person. That's something I don't you don't really get anywhere else other than markets, but I love being able to chat with them, see what they like, I love seeing, like, what they're like, "Ooh, I like that," whether they don't buy it or not, but the fact that they're liking that or not liking this or you just hearing their feedback is really great. But at stores, I love that I don't have to be there to staff it. I love that I can just a lot of my stores have, like, a software where you log in, you can see your inventory, you can see sales real time, so you can see, like, "Okay, well, this is my busy day," or, "This is when I need to go restock," like, it's kinda all behind the scenes, and you don't have to put your, like I don't wanna say, like, you're pretending, but it's, like, a happy face where it's, like, when you're with a customer, you have a whole persona that, like, that's just you when you're doing your thing, but whenever you're seeing what stores are selling, you don't have to be there to be, like, all dressed up and all like, you don't have to be like the presenter person, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. And I think it's a healthy dose of, like you said, both. You're using data to kind of, tell you how to pivot at any point in time. But I love that these in store or these brick and mortars are giving you access to stuff. It's almost like you can monitor it without being right there. Mm-hmm. And then when you do have to show up, you know exactly if you're switching out product or if you're going with the same stuff. So I love that they're even increasing or not increasing, they're improving the way that they're giving accessibility to small business owners that are choosing this avenue.
Yeah, it's super helpful, especially like we're in a place in Maryland, and that's about 2-hour drive for me. So I would hate to show up there and then be like, "Oh, I didn't bring enough stuff," or
Yeah.
"Oh, they don't need a restock." Like it's so helpful, be able to see your inventory and like see all of that stuff. That way, like you're getting paid what you should be, or you're bringing the right stuff to the right stores, and yeah, because it gets confusing really quick.
I love it. Gretchen, it has been such a delight to have you just inspiring us and sharing your story. Mama extraordinaire to maverick, photographer, handcrafted polymer clay jewelry maker, boss, wholesaler, brick and mortar partner, event attendee. Vendor. I love all of it. I feel like you have such a broad range and you have given us such valuable information today. Please let everybody know, where can we find your website and on what social media channels can they follow you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for having me. It was awesome. Like, I've been listening to your podcast for so long, and it's like really cool to meet you guys and like chat with you guys today. So it's really cool. So you guys can find me at www.craftedfromfaith.com. On our website, we list all of our upcoming events and our local businesses you can shop at, like we talked about. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and even TikTok.
Oh, I like it. I think one of your TikTok videos had, what was it, like over 250,000 views? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was silly though because all it was me like cutting out a shape and pulling it apart. Like it wasn't anything cool. Like it was super simple.
What's the opposite of ASMR? But it's like the visual version, right?
It was just satisfying.
Like super satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to tell you, you have a standing open invitation to this podcast. If there are any topics in the future that you want to discuss, I think one that may be super beneficial in the future might be the leap to like wholesaling. Like just because that's something we don't have experience with. Yeah. Obviously, you have a ton of experience with it. We could put feelers out there. If you guys are listening and you have questions about wholesaling, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. And maybe we could convince Gretchen here to join us for a future episode on that.
Yeah, you let me know. Give me a date and time. We're ready.
Awesome. Well, once again, Gretchen, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Once again, pretty, please leave us a review. Make sure you're followed or subscribed, all of those things. And go be the best SOB you can be.